I froze in the doorway, the breath caught in my throat. There they were, my husband Mark and my son's fiancée, Leila, entwined on the couch like strangers with no shame. Hours before the wedding, hours before she was supposed to walk down the aisle and vow forever to my son. I felt the floor tilt beneath me. Rage burned, sharp and immediate. My mouth opened, ready to spit fire, to expose them in one shattering scream. But then, movement in the hallway. Garrett, my son, standing still, shadowed by the lamplight, his face carved from stone. His eyes met mine, and in a low, steady voice that broke something inside me, he whispered, "Mom, I already know, and it's worse than you think." I had once thought Mark was the safest choice I'd ever made, solid, steady, the kind of man who showed up at every soccer game, who fixed the dripping faucet at midnight, who kissed me goodnight with routine tenderness. And Leila, I had welcomed her into my home, my family. She had that hungry sparkle, that eagerness to belong. She reminded me of myself once. I gave her my recipes, my jewelry, even whispered advice I never told anyone else. That's why betrayal cuts deepest when it wears the face of trust. The first signs had been small. Leila's hand brushing Mark's arm too casually. Mark lingering in the kitchen when she was there. A joke shared that excluded me. A look exchanged too quickly to catch, but not quick enough to miss. I told myself it was paranoia, that I was protective, maybe jealous of the bond they seemed to form. But suspicion grows teeth. And then I saw the truth. Mark's shirt inside out one afternoon, his wedding ring resting on the bathroom sink. Leila's lipstick on a glass in the den when she wasn't supposed to be over. The puzzle pieces snapped together, and the picture was uglier than anything I could stomach. But nothing prepared me for Garrett's words. "It's worse than you think." We didn't speak then. We didn't need to. The next morning I found him in the kitchen, staring into his coffee as if it held answers. His voice was stripped of warmth when he said, "She came to me last month. Told me she was pregnant." I went cold. She said it was mine. His hand trembled against the mug. But I knew she was lying. I had doubts, and I did the test. It's not mine. He lifted his gaze, steel cutting through the pain. It's his. Mark, my husband, the father of the groom. Something inside me hardened that day. Not shattered, hardened. Because tears were useless. Confrontation too cheap. They needed to feel the weight of what they had done, not just to me, but to Garrett. So I planned, quietly, methodically. I reached out to the officiant, explaining with careful half-truths that the wedding might be delayed. I arranged with the venue to hold the guests in the reception hall an extra 20 minutes, citing family matters. I even called Leila's parents, politely insisting they arrive early. All the while, Mark and Leila thought they were clever. They didn't know I had seen. They didn't know Garrett had seen. They believed they controlled the secret. But the secret belonged to me now. The day of the wedding arrived. Leila floated in white lace, face painted with the innocence she'd long abandoned. Mark played the doting father, steady hand on Garrett's shoulder. And Garrett? He was calm, too calm. The ceremony began. Guests rose, smiles blooming, phones recording. The string quartet played. But before a single vow was spoken, Garrett raised his hand. Stop. Gasps rippled through the room. He turned, facing the crowd with a voice steady as stone. Before this goes any further, there's something everyone needs to know. He didn't cry. He didn't falter. He simply stepped aside, and I stepped forward. I carried the folder in my hand, the DNA results Garrett had given me, notarized, undeniable. "Leila is pregnant," I said, my voice cutting clean through the silence. "But the child isn't my son's. It's his father's." The room broke. Leela went pale, swaying like she might collapse. Mark's jaw locked, color draining from his face. Guests gasped, whispers erupted, phones clicked faster than shutters at a crime scene. And in that moment, I watched Mark's carefully built image crumble. A husband, a father, a man of respect, reduced to a scandal so vile it turned the stomachs of his own friends. Leela dropped the bouquet. Her hands shook. "It's not—" Garrett cut her off. "Don't. The test doesn't lie." Mark tried to speak, but the officiant's voice sliced through the chaos, stern and final. "This ceremony cannot proceed." Leela's parents rushed forward, faces twisted with horror. Garrett walked past them, head high, dignity unshaken. And me? I simply stood still, watching, absorbing, letting the silence press down until Mark's eyes finally met mine. No words passed between us. None were needed. He saw it in my face, the quiet triumph of a woman who had